What's up, everyone? Hello. Can you hear me? Let's see. Going live. It's right on 8 o'clock and we're going live. We're going live in two spots tonight. If the technology works, we'll be going live on, I'll just keep these headphones on for a minute just to keep an ear on the volume. Check myself. Let me see. Am I live? No, it would appear maybe not. Oh, hello. Oh, you're there. Excellent. Great. That's awesome. You can hear me on Facebook, and it would appear that YouTube is the only problem. Well, what a day. We are here, and we are going to chat about the big news, though. The big news, which is, of course, that P&O is going. Sorry, just bear with me for a sec, guys. I'm just getting this up and running on YouTube as well. My apologies. There we go. Okay. We're live on YouTube as well. Perfect. Thank you. Apologies for that. Well, so I am here by myself. Deb's not here. She's just messaged me. She's running late. Big day at work for her. We are going to chat about something big. We're going to chat about this announcement right here. Whoops. This one. Cancelling and changes to the operating brand for P&O in Australia. Holy dooly, who would have thought that this was going to be a bit of news today? Shocked. I think many of us will be very shocked to have heard this. I know Deb and I were the P&O brand is a really big brand for us personally. We actually got engaged on P&O back in on a P&O ship back in 2018. Yes, 2018. So only a few years ago. But yeah, so a bit of an emotional roller coaster. This is the brand that many consider here in Australia to be the Fun Ship brand. So it's a brand that we're not going to see around anymore. So here's the breakdown. March 2025 will be the end of the Fun Ship brand, of the P&O Cruises Australia brand. The ships are going to get rolled up, or two of them, only two, into the Carnival line, and one of them is actually going to be saying goodbye to, and that's going to be this one here. So we can see we've got Pacific Explorer, the smaller of the P&O cruise ships in Australia, will be saying goodbye to that, which is actually not just for Australia, but also for the New Zealand market. It's a really, really big thing, right? Like Pacific Explorer is the ship that tends to run out of New Zealand, out of Auckland, in particular, doing cruises in the winter months. It then goes down to Adelaide and will do a number of departures out of Adelaide during the summer season as well. So we're going to see the loss of Pacific Explorer out of the market here in Australia. We're going to have Pacific Encounter and Pacific Adventure will become the Carnival Adventure and the Carnival Encounter. And then once they, so you'll have those two ships. Then you'll also have the ships that Carnival already have in Australia. So Carnival Luminosa, which operates for about half of the year out of Brisbane, and Carnival Splendor, which operates out of Sydney. So, thanks for the share, Lizelle. Thank you, Liesel. I keep stuffing that up. Really appreciate that. And look at that. I can pull Facebook comments up now as well. Getting very fancy with our live streams that we do. So, yeah, before we dive right in, you can see behind me a bit of blue and maroon lights. I actually was planning to do a different video tonight, state of origin themed around cruising, but today's news has certainly knocked us for a six. And you just have to have a look at who is who's covering the news on this. Quick shout out to our friends over at cruisepassenger.com.au. You remember these guys actually covered and quoted Deb and I a few months ago when we were on Quantum of the Seas at Easter, and we got the news. We spoke with some staff that had actually been off the ship for the day while we were in Port Vila and had actually gone and visited the development area in Lelepa, or on the Lelepa Island area where their Royal Caribbean have been looking at developing their perfect day at Lelepa experience. So I will always get it wrong, Lizelle. I need Deb here to give me a nudge. She gets it right. I get it wrong. I know. I am hopeless with names. My apologies. So yeah, anyway, we know that yes, the guys at cruisepassenger.com.au, they shared the story that we broke about staff actually visiting the island. Obviously, we haven't heard word on whether that's continuing yet, but we'll do that in another story. We'll come back to this now. So, Cruise Passenger, the team there, they had they actually managed to get an interview with Christine Duffy, the president of Carnival Cruise Lines, which was pretty awesome for them. Excuse me. So they were able to actually get a real rundown and insight. So we'll come back to that in a moment. As I was saying, though, ABC have covered this. News.com.au have covered this. The New Zealand, One News over in New Zealand are covering it. It's on Yahoo. It's everywhere. This is big news. Cruise Mapper have covered it. News Hub, and then of course we get into the Facebook side of things, the social media side of things. We've got at the moment, obviously P&O put their announcement on Facebook that we can see here, Cruising with Honey, and we saw Cruising with Honey. She was on the Today Show, I think it was, covering that this morning. Got that somewhere. The Project have covered it. Cruise Crazed Fam, Ali there, she's covered it. Here we go. There's the caption from Cruising with Honey doing her interview. Obviously, Adrian, the cruise and travel guy, who is in Japan at the moment. I believe over there on a Norwegian cruise, but he's managed to keep across this, as is everyone. I noticed Chris Frames put some comments out. So everyone is talking about this news, P&O ceasing to exist in Australia. Now, let's dive in a little bit deeper. I've rambled for a little bit. Deb's not here to keep me on the straight and narrow. So, key points that have come out of the announcement from Carnival's point of view is the what have we got? So 90-year heritage, and I think this is one of the really interesting things. P&O and the brands that sort of were forerunners to it really have a long history in Australia we're a relatively young country. Obviously, we know that. We know our history. Some of it's a little bit checkered, but the P&O line has been here for a very long time, and it helped form the country. The £10 poms, that came out post World War II to resettle in Australia and help drastically grow the population, etc. After World War II. I had relatives that came out on that ship on some of those early Pacific and Orient cruise lines ships back in the day. So yeah, they're gone. The Carnival Cruise Line will sort of carry forward all of the bookings under the rebranded ship names. Excuse me. I have had to pour a special drink because I'm really just shocked by this. Tastes good. Nice gin. If you want to chat gins, I'm always happy to chat gin. So, yes, look, the P&O Cruise Line has had its good and bad runs in the country, but moving on, the ships Pacific Encounter and Pacific Adventure, being Carnival Adventure, Carnival Encounter, moving forward, we'll get new things like the Carnival Cruise Line Hub app, and you will now get become or have access to the VIFP. So that's their loyalty program on Carnival Cruise Lines, which will be interesting because we haven't really heard, and I haven't seen anything today about recognition for Princess, because P&O cruisers in Australia get Princess recognition. So it will be interesting to see if that continues or doesn't moving forward. We'll have to see how that goes. So there will be some advantages there, I guess, in that regard. Having the VIFP program, but maybe you won't get that advantage of the Princess Cruise Lines recognition moving forward. So when we start to look at a few of the different sort of options or comments that come out today, and I'll just zoom in on this story. This is the interview and coverage that Cruise Passenger had. You'll see that Carnival Cruise Line's obviously the most popular by passenger numbers in the world, as they've stated. It's really interesting what this sunset the brand is going to mean. Does that mean that we could one day see a P&O Cruises Australia brand come back? Maybe. I don't know. We could. It seems to just be from my perspective, it really just seems like they're dangling that carrot. Hey, like, we're not completely going to get rid of the P&O Cruise Australia brand. Maybe we are, maybe we're not. Who knows? This article goes on to explain as well why they're doing this, and this is probably the most important part that everyone wants to understand. Why are Carnival Cruise Line or Carnival Corp making this change, dissolving the P&O Cruise Australia brand? And the main thing for them seems to be about costs, and it's part of a sort of the next stage in the Carnival Cruise Line brand, increasing its capacity. So, excuse me. If we have a look, one of the key things is that over the next couple of years, as part of this move, the Carnival brand is actually going to increase by about 8 ships up until sort of 27, 28. By the time these two ships come in, a couple of ships from the Costa line come in, and then a couple of new ships arrive, you're actually going to see an expanded fleet for Carnival. It's not really a net gain though in terms of the group, from what I can make out. Yes, but there you go. So they're saying that the big thing is, and we'll jump back over to this section here. I just want to highlight this for you from the interview, from the interviews that they've had. It's the big challenges are South Pacific obviously has a small population, so South Pacific being South Pacific Islands, Australia, that sort of Oceania area. We've got small populations, significantly higher operating costs and regulatory burdens or costs. So they're adjusting the approach. That's what this is really about. Overall, Carnival Corporation remains committed to Australia and will continue to be the largest cruise operator in the region, with 19 ships calling on 78 destinations and representing 60% of the market. So I'll go through at a later date and have a look and try and count up 19 Carnival or Carnival sub-brand ships for the region. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this actually does play out. So it's not a complete loss, but we've seen similar moves recently. Royal Caribbean obviously have also reduced their capacity in the Australian market. We know that that's coming from the 25-26 cruise season. This does seem to suggest that capacity is going to drop, and with that in the Australian market, you would assume then we're going to see probably quite a significant increase in pricing. If we jump over this next sort of article, sort of goes through a bit more of the interview that Cruise Passenger did, and it talks in particular about some of the issues that the ship the cruise line have had and cruise lines face here in Australia. You'll remember there was some media a couple of months ago about some ships over the previous summer cruise season being denied fleet access into New Zealand because they were had some scallops or mussels or something on the hull of the ship, and so there was biosecurity concerns in New Zealand. They're quite strict there. The ships have to actually clean before they get into New Zealand waters, do hull scrapes and those sorts of things. It's a huge issue. So you've got those things, a smaller market, it all makes a big difference to the operating costs and margins for these cruise lines. The interesting thing will be, though, whether this actually does provide some incentive for Royal, in my view, to maybe go year round, given that we're losing Explorer out of the market completely. So that's one ship completely gone now. Royal Caribbean might be in a position where obviously all those winter portings that the Explorer had booked, and we know Brisbane Cruise Terminal was one, New Zealand was one, Sydney was another. They've all got bookings up through 25 and 26 for Explorer. Those slots will all open up. So could Voyager actually fill that? Yeah, I completely agree. That would be great if that happened. It's another reason, and look, it could be given that it might just help spread the demand for cruising across the year a little bit more, and help balance prices potentially. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, they're really looking at this thing. They're saying that we're still going to benefit if we jump over back to this. thing. So the statements coming out of P&O and Carnival are customers are still going to benefit from things like the loyalty program and the different promotional offerings when sailing in the region. So there's apparently a lot more opportunity to streamline things. And look, I understand the business efficiencies of this. It makes sense. So the I guess main change is going to be that or the main risk for people is really going to be what are they going to do for the passengers who are going to potentially face cancellations, and this is the important bit here. So they're going to be sending out in communication in the next few weeks to book guests with a direct message. Firstly, they're going to tell everyone that, hey, calm your farm, everything's all good. We're not going to change things too dramatically. But if people do want to cancel, they'll be able to cancel and get their money back if they want to. So, yeah, look, I think it's going to be interesting to see really how the market receives this. P&O, as I mentioned, is such a brand that's fixed in the Australian psyche, and all Australians know this. Fair Star, the fun ship, the P&O branding of Fair Star, the fun ship. It's it's just there. If you're an Australian cruiser, you know it. We're told as well that the cruises in 2024 will not be affected. Pacific Explorer passengers booked after March 2nd, 2025 will have the option for a refund or credit with extra onboard spending money. Damn, I didn't book that cruise last week. Yeah, so that's kind of it. There you go, everyone. Have you got any questions that you want me to ask? Let's have a look at the any questions there at the moment in the live from anyone? Lecture Sykes, Australian market's too expensive for companies now. High regulations, inflation, cost of living. Many Australians are not going on holidays but trying to save every last cent. Totally agree. I think it is one of the things. Cruise prices we have seen go up in recent times, that's for sure. But I think the big thing is that cruising still offers such a value for money option when it comes to having doing a holiday, particularly as a family. And it's so easy. It's it's a pressure-free holiday. You turn up and you're done. So I think I appreciate that it is an issue that people might not be traveling as much, but I think the expense thing is a big thing. We've got extremely high wages in this country compared to other markets. The regulations are extremely high from a biosecurity point of view. Okay, haven't cruised with P&O, but did Carnival. Well, we haven't. Deb and I actually haven't done Carnival yet. We've done plenty of P&O, plenty of Royal, as you know, but not Carnival. We've actually got some Carnival cruises booked over the next 6 to 12 months anyway. So will be interesting to see how we go enjoying those. Anyway, there we go. Look, I don't need to ramble too much about it at the moment. If there's not a lot of questions out there, we'll begin to wrap this one up. It'll be interesting to see what this does mean, though, I think, for the fleet moving forward, if this gives us the opportunity potentially to get are you allowed to say you weren't a fan? Hang on, I was about to wrap up there, but now you got me curious. You weren't a fan of Carnival. Interesting. I think, keep myself hydrated here. I know cruising's a funny thing, isn't it? Like, we have, different people like different brands. Different brands for different reasons, and have different experiences. That's for sure. I think one of the big challenges for what we've traditionally had is P&O Australia has kind of been a everybody's brand, the fun brand, the fun ship brand. It's catered well for families. It's budget conscious families have been able to go on there. It's great with the comedy cruises and all those sort of things. Carnival, and then you've had, Princess, which is traditionally, I guess, been seen as an older person's cruise line in Australia. Carnival's kind of sat in the middle. And then, Royal Caribbean's kind of been the really cool uncle. I think that's a pretty good way to sum up the how the Australian market's seen these cruise lines over the years. But like I think I'm a bit surprised. I know some people really, really love Carnival. I'm surprised that you didn't. You weren't a fan. I wonder how bad it was. We can get into that. Maybe we'll get you on and get your feedback in a chat at some point, Lizelle. Anyway, we might wrap up because I think I was just starting to say it'll be interesting to see what happens with the fleet moving forward, whether this gives the opportunity for more up-to-date ships to come to Australia down the track, whether we'll get newer ships. We've traditionally got quite old ships. Sorry, getting distracted here using all this new technology. I think we will. It'll be interesting to see. Like, we've traditionally got older ships. Whether we get newer ships down here, probably won't. It's probably never going to happen. I think that's the reality. As we saw in those comments, they're really talking about, the issues with costs in Australia, regulatory burdens in Australia. But as mentioned, we're a significant, we are a very significant cruise market. Like, we per capita, we're one of the largest cruising markets in the world. Got about $5 billion of economic value to the economy every year from cruising and the cruise industry in Australia. So I think that's the latest figures that I heard recently. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens. And look, the Carnival Corporation has, as Ida Cruises, Carnival Cruise Line, Costa, Cunard, Holland America, P&O Cruises Australia, P&O Cruises UK, Princess Cruises, Seabourn. There's so many brands under Carnival that it will be interesting to see. See your question there on Facebook, Lizelle. I don't know. I have a folder over there somewhere, or Deb does, not me. There's a folder, a whole lot of folders, and a wall planner. I could go out and have a look at the wall planner, but it's out in the hallway. So if you haven't seen that video, do check out that video about our wall planner and how we do our cruise planning. But maybe we'll drop you a message via Facebook and let you know when our Carnival cruises are, because there are a couple coming up. We can keep an eye out for them. All right, guys, that's it. I think we've done about 30 minutes now on this live stream. I've rambled a hell of a lot. You don't need to know much more than that. I think the big thing to remember, a couple of key takeaways here, though, just so we are across it. March 2025 is the big thing. That's when Explorer will stop. The rebrandings will really kick into gear of Pacific Encounter and Pacific Adventure, so that you will have those ships rebranded as Carnival Encounter and Carnival Adventure. It's predominantly a cost exercise. There will be some job losses at the P&O Australia head office. There'll be some positions that move into the Carnival offices here in Australia, but and support that function. But predominantly, yes, it doesn't really look like, and stuff on Pacific Explorer will be redeployed within the fleet, is sort of the statement that's been made, or as required. Yeah, look, that's it, guys. Any last questions now? Otherwise, we'll wrap up. Thanks for joining those that did. Oh, we've got some more comments. No worries. We will see you next time. I will get this video cut up. I'll do a little bit more of a deeper dive into the future. But yeah, thank you again for joining us in the live stream. Sorry that Deb's not here to keep me on track. I did have a script, didn't quite follow it. I'm going to go and try this. I'll finish off this lovely gin, and I'll see you when we're sailing soon. I would suggest jumping on, hitting those socials. You'll see plenty of people there are watching and commenting on this at the moment, as mentioned. All the big names all the big cruise tubers in the country are onto it. So have a great night, everyone. Cheers, and we'll see you in the next video in the very near future. We're working on some. I was sick last week, so a couple of videos got delayed in being put out, but we've got a couple of videos and another live stream later this month planned. Hooray!